Hey mamas, it's Zanita here from Zanita's Work at Home Mama, and today we'll be discussing part 3 of Raising Godly Children. On part 2, last week we talked about how to pray for our children, how to teach them how to pray, and different worship music and songs that we can incorporate in their lives. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave it in the description below. You probably should check that video out first. So stay tuned for part 3. If you're new here, this channel is all about faith, family, parenting, and all things motherhood, so consider subscribing if you're interested in those topics. So for part 3 of Raising Godly Children, I want to talk about different Christian cartoons and shows that we can allow our children to watch to learn more about God. There's just so many shows out these days that are supposed to be safe for children, but they incorporate so many inappropriate things that I and my husband do not allow our kids to watch many of the popular shows. We used to in the past, but we noticed it was just a lot of magic and things like that going on, and that stuff spiritually affects your home and it affects the peace of your household. So we definitely cut those shows out, and so I had to do my research on what type of shows they could watch that actually glorify God. And I do have a list of different shows here that we currently watch. So number 1 is Superbook. I'm pretty sure you've heard of Superbook. It's a really cool show where 2 kids go through the Bible and they just learn about different Bible stories, and my kids love Superbook. There are a couple of shows in Superbook that they're just not ready for, because my daughter's 3, my son is 6, and it's just a little too much for them right now. Basically seeing like the mean looking angels and things like that, demons basically. So we avoid some of those parts of the shows, but for the most part they love Superbook. And another good show is the Beginner's Bible series. It's really kind of old school, but they have like pretty much all the shows on YouTube, so I'll link that below. And they have the story of David and Goliath, which is one of my kids' absolute favorites to watch. Adam and Eve, just all the big ones, Noah's Ark. So that's number 2. That's one of the other ones we like. There's a show called Salty that I grew up on, and it's quite an older show, but they incorporate a lot of singing, a lot of dancing, a lot of storytelling about principles of the way God operates and just how we should behave as Christians and believers in Jesus. So it's a really, really good show. I'll link that below as well. They have a few episodes here on YouTube. Life Kids. It's actually, I love this show so much. I'm really quite sad they don't do any more newer shows anymore, but it's a YouTube show. It's a show here on YouTube where there's a young lady who's going through the Bible along with a few cartoon characters, and it just becomes so alive. And I like the diversity of the show. There's different types of people of skin colors, and so it just teaches our kids that God created us all. I really love it because it's just such an adventure and it keeps the kids really intrigued. So that show is called Life Kids. Another show is called Boz, from Boz the Bear. I actually have the DVD here. This was one of the first shows that my son watched when he was born, and then my daughter when she was born, and they love this show. It's really good for toddlers and preschoolers and maybe early kindergarten age, where they just kind of get to use their imagination and dance and learn more about God in a colorful, bright way. So we love that show. They actually still like that show. Another one, VeggieTales, the classic. I'm sure you know. My kids, they like some of the VeggieTales episodes, but to be honest, they're not huge fans of VeggieTales. I think it's just a lot incorporated, but some of the different episodes they really do like. So VeggieTales is another one. Joseph, the story of Joseph. This one was actually a movie, and it told the complete story about Joseph. I'm pretty sure you probably have heard of it because we actually watched it on Netflix one time. And the kids were intrigued by it and they got to learn more about Joseph. So that's a pretty good movie to check out. I have a few more DVDs here. This one is by the Faith Collection. It's about teaching kids the fruit of the Spirit, and it's through cars pretty much. So if you have a little boy who's into a bunch of cars and stuff, or trucks, I think you would appreciate this one. But it goes over the fruit of the Spirit, and we know how important that is with training our kids in God's character. Here's another one called the New Testament Bible Stories for Children, the Apostles. This is a good one, just sharing the story of Jesus and his disciples. And I'll link all these below. Theo, this one's pretty good. It just depends on your child if they'll hold their attention or not. It's not super adventurous, but it does tell really good Bible stories. And I think that's all I have for the DVDs. So that was number 1 for today's series. And number 2, another thing we can do with raising our children in the Lord, of course, is just reading kids' Christian children's books. There's so many good ones out there. I have a few here I was going to show you. This is one that we have really loved on, if you could see all those marks, but I really like this book because it says I Can Pray, and it really just encourages our kids to be comfortable praying, and they begin to just see how simple it is to just talk to God on their own. And so we still read this book. I can't tell you how many times I've stapled it back together, but probably should just go ahead and buy a new one at this point. But this is a really good book for just incorporating Christian books in your home.
God wants me to talk to him, but he also wants to talk to me.
Keep going.
Dad, do this one.
Keep going, bud.
I listen to God when I read the Bible. No, not Hey!
Be kind. Keep going.
The Bible is God's word. God helps me know what is right.
Another one we started out with is Jesus Loves Little Children. As you can see, this one has kind of had its wear as well. We've done quite a bit reading. My daughter loves this the most because she loves to sing and dance. And I love the diversity of children in this book. They all are just from different places, and we actually sing it as we go. And so this is a really, really good book of showing God's love for his children. So another good book is called Think Before You Act. You guys forgive me, the top cover is missing. I have no idea where it is. This is another book we have read several times because it's about self-control. And it really, really, really is helpful for teaching kids what they should do and what they shouldn't do and why, and the consequences of it. So I'll link it below so you can see what the cover actually looks like. Actually, the blog post I wrote as well I have this book in there, so you can either go there or I can link it below for you. Another one is God Made Earth. So this is a really simple, cute preschool and toddler book about just the earth God created, about the sun, the moon, the water, just starting from the beginning. So that's a cute book. Another one is A Life God Rewards. I really like this book because it teaches kids about serving other people and thinking about others and not being selfish. And it just tells a really good story of how a little boy is helpful to a friend in need. So this is a really, really good one, and they actually mention Jesus in here, so I appreciate that as well. And we have a VeggieTales book. This is a really good just nighttime story book. Nothing too spectacular, but tells a good story, has good colors. Definitely will hold your kids' attention. Good Night Sleep Tight. That's a pretty good one. Another one we mentioned already about Joseph and his amazing coat. We have the actual book, and this book is really cool. My son really loves it the most. I like the pictures in it. It's really the animations and everything. It's nice and bright. So this is a really good book. If you can't pull up the movie, possibly you could get the book. And this one, we read this so many times and still do. This is the ABC Bible Storybook, and it has several stories of the Bible in it. Of course, this is the story of baby Jesus, and so many others. And they're really short. They're only one-page stories, so that makes it even better for nighttime reading before bed. It's not overwhelming. So yeah, this is a really good book to check out. Another one, we don't just read the story of Jesus just for Christmas. We read it year-round. Why not? They're still learning, and they actually are fascinated about baby Jesus. So this one's called The Stars Came Out on Christmas, and I like it because it has like a star they can touch through each page. If you see how it has a hole there. So they really appreciate this book. It keeps them excited to learn. So that's that one. Another story is The First Christmas Night. And again, we read Jesus story, Christmas books all throughout the year. And I really like the pictures in this book because the drawings are just so real. And it just pulls the children in. Looks like you're like watching a movie. So yeah, this is a perfect example. Like, look at baby Jesus, so cute. So yeah, this is a really good one as well. And that's all I have for now for Christian children's books. But I have listed tons more on my blog post on this topic. So that's it for Raising Godly Children Part 3. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will start to incorporate more Christian children's shows and books into your home if you're not already. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications when I post more videos. And if you have any tips or favorite books, Christian books you love, or shows, please share in the comments below. Until next time, bye.